Hello and welcome to MS-4004. My name is Lockie and I'm here to take you through how Copilot can help you in your workday. Now before we begin, a little bit about myself. I'm based in Canberra in Australia and I am a Microsoft technical trainer. I help clients in high compliance scenarios get skilled up in a whole range of different areas. But my specialty is in multi-cloud and also hybrid cloud. That means I've done a lot of work with clients with documents all over the place. And using Copilot as an impetus to kind of bring things together and make the best use of all of the document libraries you have, the databases you build, it's kind of been my modus operandi the last few years here. So, what am I here to take you through? Well, with the lens of high compliance, I do a lot of work about how Copilot actually works under the hood. It's important to understand what it's doing. And my goal is for you to have a good understanding of how it actually works, not how we say it works or how it's said it works in the sales material, how you can actively use it in your workday, and how it works best for you in your specific scenario. So, without further ado, let's begin and start talking Copilot. Now, specifically, we are here today to talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot. There are many Copilots in the Microsoft ecosystem, and Microsoft 365 Copilot is the one that is designed to work with all of the components of Microsoft 365 and Office 365 more broadly. So I think before we begin, it's good to get a little bit of a level set. Let's talk about what it is, what it isn't, and what it's being built upon. So, Copilot for Microsoft 365 is the main child of what we're going to be talking about today. It's the main topic of our course and the main thing that we are focused on. But there are many Copilots, as I said. The Copilot for Word works differently to the Copilot for Excel, the Copilot for Outlook, Teams, Loop, and the rest of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem broadly. Each individual Copilot has its own set of special skills and is designed to work in a specific way. We call these two different types of experiences either standalone or embedded. The standalone experience for Copilot for Microsoft 365 is what you'll get at office.com or over in the Copilot app on your machine. Additionally, Teams actually makes use of the standalone version of the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, and it uses this to be able to reach out to Teams messages, look at calendar invites, and be able to bring in broader context about how Office works on the day-to-day. When we use an embedded experience, we use those in-app. And many of my demonstrations are going to focus on that in-app experience. This is where we focus in on some specific skill set. When we use Copilot in Excel, it's great at coming up with new formulas. When we use it in Outlook, it's designed for drafting emails and being able to coach us into, well, writing the right thing. When we're using it in Word, it's about recreating a document, redrafting, coming up with new suggestions, and looking for new improvements within that behavior. Each Copilot has a specific set of skills, and we look to utilize those whenever we can. But I keep using this word Copilot, and I think it's nice to just have a little bit of a background about what a Copilot actually is. Like, what is Copilot for Microsoft 365? We know what it's going to do for us, and I'll give plenty of demonstrations about how it's going to work for you. But under the hood, it's really three separate components. The first is an LLM, or a large language model. There are many different companies out there coming up with large language models. LLMs are designed to reach out to large data sets of information and be able to find patterns in how human language is written, and a little bit of how human language is spoken as well. We use this to be able to find easy, predictable pathways. So when we say, I have a pet, what's the next word? It could be dog, it could be cat, it could be bird, but there is a pathway that we can follow, and we know what the most likely response is going to be based on the data that we originally feed in. Now, critically, LLMs are packaged and static. Your information is not used to retrain or improve an LLM. These are things that we utilize and that we update over time, but these are generally provided by an external company. Whilst we as Microsoft do make various large language models and small language models ourselves, our research team is very skilled in that area. OpenAI is the main basis for many of the different packages that we use in the LLM space. Now, away from the technical jargon, what are we adding in when you go for a Copilot? The first thing is the protections and guardrails that you come to expect with a Microsoft system. These are things that do evolve and improve over time. We use this to ensure that when you use a Copilot, it responds in an appropriate manner. It behaves in a way that makes sense for an enterprise. You want something that you're going to use at work to feel like a tool you should be using at work. So we leverage the different pieces of our ecosystem, the different APIs we already have access to, and the great skill we already have in terms of filtering language, in terms of making sure that it is fair and responsible in its responses, and ensuring that it is grounded in a level of reality and accuracy. And the last critical piece, the thing that makes Copilot for Microsoft 365 something different, is the graph. Now, what the graph is a reach out API where we can hit an endpoint, a point in your environment that says, what's on your calendar? What's in your Outlook? What's on Teams? This is the thing that allows us to feed in all of the baseline components of the LLM, packaged with those protections, and then we add on the content you provide from your Microsoft 365 environment. So, baseline package wrapped with all the protections and guardrails you need to be enterprise ready, and then you bring the content, the thing that makes it personalized to you specifically. That is what a Copilot is, and that is what Copilot for Microsoft 365 is when you actually use it on the day-to-day. The Copilot system is designed to be able to give you a simple, trusted place to be able to do your work. We use these LLMs in combination with the graph in order to give you that proper, seamless integration across that Office 365 suite. And additionally, you can expect that there is going to be contextually aware responses. So that is the baseline of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is and what it's going to provide for you. There is a critical thing that you do need to know about this work version of Copilot. It is license-based. So you do need to ensure that you have the correct license in your environment and that it has been enabled in your environment today. Copilot is not on by default. It is something that an organization needs to enable. Of course, right now, for non-work use, you have access to a Copilot. Over on Bing, there is a Copilot available for general use and for great web queries. But it's not designed with enterprise protections in mind. It's designed for general search terms and general use cases. If you are looking to integrate with Microsoft 365, pulling your emails and all of the things you expect out of a work environment, that's where we're going to require a license. So if you don't have access to it today, there's a couple of things that need to happen in the back end there, and that might be why. Now, let's talk about what Microsoft 365 Copilot does for you specifically. The three things you see on here: understanding context and user need, transforming how you work, and giving yourself a whole bunch of key capabilities. These effectively show what a base Copilot is able to normally do. The understanding of context, that's based on the graph. The more we can pull in from there, the better we are able to work with the data you provide. Transform how you work, large language models, and the secondary piece of that, a natural language processor, means that we can take the questions you ask, run them through an algorithm, and then the LLM can process them and give an output that feels right. It feels like you're talking to someone, like you have an assistant or a Copilot on the side. And of course, the last thing is that baseline LLMs have many key capabilities that we are leveraging. the ability to rewrite, to analyze, to find different components, whilst also ensuring that you are, well, secure. You have access to the things you should have access to and no more. It's critical to ensure that we're managing all three of those pieces. This right here is the logical architecture of how a Copilot actually fits together. And I like to leave this one in just as a way of giving you one last set of how the graph actually functions. Just remember that a Copilot alone, the thing that we see at this point, that Microsoft 365 Copilot out of the box, it does great work, but doesn't know you. The graph, the thing that means that if it is something you can't see, Copilot can't see it. If it's something that you are able to pull, Copilot can pull it. We use your permissions. So if Copilot can see it, you can see it. That is a really important part of how we have designed this. It should work out of the box with all of the various permissions you already expect. So always keep that in mind. Now, there's one last piece of this that I haven't actually defined properly yet. We talked about LLMs already, those pre-packaged components, and we've talked about Microsoft 365 apps. But I only really quickly went through what a natural language processing component is. One of the key things to remember with large language models, the thing that Copilot's based on, is that they don't really understand anything. It'll feel like it. They're extremely good at being able to predict what they need to say next to be accurate and say the right thing. But natural language processing is the actual thing that allows you to talk to a Copilot. It takes your language that you speak. English is the easiest example that I can think of for what we tend to talk about here. I have a dog. That will get translated into 1, 2, 3, 4, a series of numbers that represent the words we're saying. Then all we need within the large language model is to find the pattern of those numbers within it. And then at the end, we need to then run it in reverse. We need to take the output of numbers we have and be able to feed them back into normal language. It's the 1-2, going from things you say in the way you like to say them, bringing them down, running them through an algorithm, and then outputting them back out. When you look at what it's actually doing under the hood, you'll be astonished at just how good Copilot is at being able to pick up what you need and how you need to access that info. Always remember, because of the way that the graph works, it is always based on a compliance-first opinion. If you cannot see it, Copilot cannot see it either. I know I've emphasized that already, but it's super important to say. What this does mean is that if you find that Copilot can see something that's unexpected, let your organization know. It means that you've been able to see it this whole time, and we need to get that fixed. This is an important piece of Copilot. It reaches out to all of the graph that is available. So if it is able to return something, you've always been able to see it there. Let people know if you ever see something that's not right. The last big piece I want to emphasize here, before I just show you a little bit of Copilot, is I want to talk to our responsible AI. Microsoft has, for a very long time, had a key set of responsible AI principles, and we adhere to them at all times. Responsible AI principles and practices around compliance with various government organizations and government bodies, making sure that we are using this in a way that makes sense and ensuring that you have access to the tools in a safe manner. This is our core goal. The AI tools that we have should be trustworthy. That is a key component of it. And we want to make sure that you are able to feel that these tools are trustworthy, that you can use them in the way that you expect and you can trust their output. Additionally, you should be able to be empowered to use these AI tools responsibly. We make sure that there are guardrails in place so you can use them and fall into the right space to ensure privacy and security is paramount. So always keep this in mind. We have responsible AI principles. We use this to define how these AI tools are actually designed. We recommend that you follow those principles too. Feel free to take a look at the responsible AI principles over on learn.microsoft.com. We publish them out publicly and we're proud of them. All right, next we're going to go across and we're going to take a look at how Copilot works. And I'm going to show you just a few quick tours of some simple prompts that we can run to see how things work in our environment. Okay, so welcome to Copilot. This is available over at office.com, but as I mentioned, there's many different ways you can reach Microsoft 365 Copilot. Here on my main screen, I am currently in work mode. At the top of the screen, you'll see work and web. Work means that we are in your enterprise environment. We're going to use internal documentation and things that you have access to in your SharePoints, OneDrives, and also in any Teams, Outlook messages, etc. Straight away, we can see easy examples of some potential prompts that we can use for Copilot, such as, I've got a daily stand-up. Maybe I need some help preparing for that. Gabriel Woods has been contacting me. What about the latest messages from them? These are far from the only prompts that you're able to do with Copilot. The world's your oyster. Use your imagination and think about the ways that Copilot can work with you. It's using a natural language processing system, which means talk to it in a natural way. Use slang, use terms, but always be nice. Just like a person, Copilot responds better when you are kind to it and when you do say please and thank you. I know, but it does make a big difference. On this screen, there's a couple of important things that we need to know. First, the shield up the top. Anytime you see this shield, you know that your enterprise data is going to be protected. But the way this reflects is slightly different depending on what we're looking at. In the work mode, it means we're going to bring in your enterprise data. In the web mode, it means we're going to exclude it. So you've always got a guarantee that when you're using Copilot at work, whether you are using the web mode for general public chat or using the work mode for internal documentation, as well as potentially content from the web, we're able to make sure that your data is protected. You will see my little chat history coming on there as well. The chat history is always available in a little panel window on the right-hand side. Additionally, in the three dots at the top here, you'll see there's a little web content button. Sometimes it's good to flick that web content off, and so we don't pull in things from the web and we keep things purely internal. It's your call, but it's a nice little thing to work with. Now, what we're going to do is just a pretty simple prompt here. I have a daily stand-up coming. It's pulled in my calendar invite and it's got some information. Help me prepare for the project widget daily stand-up. Copilot is now running that prompt live. It gives me details about what's actually going in. We've got some additional components from external sources. This has pulled in some emails from my inbox there. It's also got the details in the agenda from the meeting itself and even who organized it. This sort of quick overview is perfect for what Copilot is great for. We see references to each of the things that it needs to reach out to. So if you need to pull in some extra data or get some extra context, you've got it straight away. And you've even got some follow-ups here. Drafting my update will give me a little bit of summary context on those extra emails. It's very easy and it's designed to be simple to pull in extra information from these other sources. So think about how you can use Copilot in your day. Now, this is the standalone experience. Beyond this, there is, of course, all of those embedded experiences. A quick tour of some of them. This is the embedded experience in Word. You have the ability to draft new documents with Copilot, as well as using it as a rewriting and coaching tool. Either way works well for us. Whatever works well for you is the way to use it. Within Word, there is also the side panel. And the side panel is great for asking general questions. If you need to ask a question about other documents, to pull some components in, or even link in external files, that's where you're able to do that and be able to create new content from other sources. In Outlook, there's two primary skills that we've worked with. The ability to summarize email threads, number one, very important. When I get a lot of emails overnight, I want to know what's actually going on and why I got so many. A quick summary of a thread can help you get up to speed fast and works brilliantly every time. The drafting of emails, it's a longer kind of process there. Maybe you want to change the tone. Maybe you've got the core points that you want to say, but you need to find a way to put it all together, get the context right. You can use the drafting capabilities to find that right wording, change the length, change the tone, even make it into a poem if you want to. If you're using Teams, two main ways we can use it. The Microsoft 365 chat is available, so you can use Microsoft 365 Copilot's full feature set, reaching out to multiple sources and getting context. Or you can keep it contained to a single chat thread. Both are useful in different ways. The chat thread feature is great if you're trying to work out what that action item needs to be from a long set of history, or with lots of back and forth in an asynchronous world, just what actually matters to me. What do I need to be doing here? This is far from the full set, but always remember that work-web switch. If at any time you want to remove the work context and only pull from the web, ask general questions. What is an LLM? How does this work? Tell me about this animal. The sort of things that the kiddos like to look up as well. Always use that web mode. The web mode also has a nice little feature on the side, the ability to go through and change the conversation style. Different conversation styles give you different responses. A creative response is going to go far off the beaten path, whereas a precise response is going to focus on the facts and figures. Take your pick. Within the Copilot for Microsoft 365, we focus more on the precise above all else. Accuracy is key when in an enterprise environment, so that's the key focus for us. Now, the big thing to remember is that Copilot and Copilot for Microsoft 365, it doesn't end with just the Copilot chat itself. AI itself and working with AI tools, it's both art and science together. Yes, there is definitely a lot of creativity and you have full freedom to use these tools however fits you. Truly, I want you to experiment and iterate. That is how you get better at these tools, and the better you get at using the tools, the better the responses. The better the responses, the better you're going to use them, and so on and so forth. It's a positive feedback loop, and it's brilliant. AI is designed to not give the same answer twice. Well, sometimes it can, but it follows whatever path makes the most sense based on what you've said. Change up your wording. Sometimes AI is what's known as usefully wrong. I know, but if you're looking for a creative thing or trying to come up with ideas, it's going to try and look for different pathways to follow each time. This means that we get different prompts, different thoughts, different ways of drafting or other areas to improve every time we ask. Use your different AI skill sets and use this as an experimentation. Don't treat it as a one and done, always the same. Use it as a conversational tool and a conversational partner to experiment and to test ideas with. Now, there is a number of clear best practices. You don't have to follow these, but following them will get you a better response, guaranteed, with any large language model. So of course, well applies to Microsoft 365 Copilot. First, be clear and be concise. Don't waffle on if you can avoid it. Try and keep your wording clear, try and keep it short, but don't leave things out. Always ensure that you are providing feedback if things are wrong. Ensure you add extra context if it's needed. Just try and keep it to whatever the minimum would be. Just like us, Copilot works best when it's a short phrase or short emails. But also like us, it needs all the context there. So make sure you provide it all together. The next and important thing is that you should trust what Copilot says, but at all times, verify. AI and large language model tools, they have great pattern matching skills and are extremely accurate. But there is a reason we have the disclosure that AI tools are sometimes incorrect. It's pattern matching. It's not a human with the understanding there. And just like someone who doesn't have all the context or maybe doesn't know the whole scenario where you're rubber ducking a question off, we want to ensure that we're checking their work. Make sure you check the responses from Copilot for accuracy, especially when you're dealing with very specific numbers. Additionally, Copilot's not actually designed as a replacement tool, so don't use it for everything. It's not skilled in every area, and it's not supposed to be. It's got specific skill sets to help supplement your workday and make you better at what you do. It's an extension, not a replacement, so don't over-rely on it. Also, make sure that you just are creative with it. Do fun stuff, test things out, push the limits. Copilot is a tool that lets you unlock your creativity. And that is sometimes in the most menial of forms, but using it to extend out words that you find to struggle to get on a page, or just finding the right way to say that message. It's always a different way of using it, but focus in on being creative with it and using it in the way that makes you feel good. And the last two are important for us. Stay updated. We're always improving Copilot and adding in new protections and new skills, and ensure that you're prioritizing privacy and security. Those go hand in hand. New skills lead to new ways of using Copilot. New ways of using Copilot lead to new areas that you might not expect. So always be understanding and be cautious when you're working with sensitive data. Copilot will work with your sensitivity labels and all of the things we expect, but you still need to be careful and still need to be cautious. So always be thinking at the forefront, how am I prioritizing privacy and security while still getting the most out of the tool? Now, when you are building a prompt, what you are looking at here is the most effective way that you can write a prompt. Again, you don't have to follow it, but a best practice gets you best results. Always give Copilot a goal. In this case, I want 3 to 5 bullet points. Context, it's for an upcoming meeting with a client. That's going to change language, tone. It's going to change a lot about what we are responding. Give the expectations, a tone that is friendly but authoritative. That's important. We're changing how Copilot's going to say things, and that's going to change a lot about the different ways we put it together. And of course, your source. If you only want Teams messages, if you only want emails, only provide those. This goes for all different types of prompts as well. As much as the examples here are focused on Teams and email messages, if you are drafting a document, you're thinking about summarization, you're creating a presentation, whatever it is, think about the ways in which you can effectively prompt your environment. We have some great guidance on effective prompts over on learn.microsoft.com. So if you're looking for more information or deeper dives into what makes an effective prompt, go check it out. Last of all, in the best practices, there are also a few simple don'ts. Always be clear and concise. Don't be vague. When you're vague, Copilot will respond in unpredictable ways, just like a person would actually. If you don't give them the details, they're not going to quite know what to say. So they might do something that's unpredictable. Focus on if-then conditionals. If it doesn't work here, go do that. If you don't find this, go do this instead. Get creative. Use analogies. I use slang all the time, and it works great. If you can't quite find the word, use the one you've got at hand. Think about it and just talk to it in the way that makes most sense for you. One that's a really nice hidden feature of the way that LLMs work, great at role-playing. If you need to put it in the shoes of a client or put it in the shoes of a manager, tell it it's a manager. That's its job now. And it will go through and it will play that part. It can be really good for testing out stressful scenarios or really just trying to work out what sort of questions someone might ask in the room. And the last important one, you don't have to put it all in one prompt. It can be a conversation. We call them chats. And this chat back and forth can be a series of different prompts. Each chat is a totally new context. So bring in the information you need and then ask for the details of it all together. Summarize the context, summarize the content, and bring all the parts in before you go through and do that. Last of all, you know that Copilot's not going to be good at everything because it's not supposed to be. It is a skilled tool. It's a scalpel, not a hammer. If you have a repetitive task, that is great for it. If you've got clear tasks with repeatable pieces, that is what it is good at. If it's something that's ambiguous and requires interpretation and is hard to work out, that's something that Copilot can assist with, but it needs you to make that last bit of the difference there. Be clear, Say please, be polite, be curious and ask preliminary questions, and iterate. Iterate, iterate, iterate. This is the most important part of getting good at using Copilot. So provide feedback to it. Say, that's not what I was expecting. I want it more like this. Give it samples, give different pieces of information. Do what you can to try and find the right sort of response. Beyond this as well, if there's something else you need to bring into Copilot, your organization can actually extend it into external tools. We support a whole range of ERP and CRM applications to be able to pull in document stores, wikis, blogs, you name it. If it can integrate with the graph already, we can integrate it with Copilot. So if you're looking for a way to extend this out, there's many different options you have available. All right, now that we've gone through the basics, I think it's time to work out what Copilot can do for you. Let's dive in, and I'm going to show you some options on how Copilot works for your specific environment. For customer service professionals, delivering prompt, empathetic, and effective support is the foundation of exceptional customer experiences. Whether you're resolving issues, managing service workflows, or responding to inquiries, Copilot is here to help you move faster and serve smarter. From drafting those personalized responses in Outlook to summarizing support cases in Word, tracking tickets in Excel, or collaborating across teams in Teams, Copilot is embedded across the Microsoft 365 suite to support every step of the journey for your customers. It helps you reduce response times, improve consistency, and elevate the quality of service that you deliver. Now, I've pulled together some practical use cases to help you hit the ground running and unlock the full potential of Microsoft 365 Copilot in your customer service workflows. Let's dive in. All right, we're going to head across to Microsoft Whiteboard, and we're going to actually start building out some ideas of what the customer journey should look like here. Now, opening Whiteboard straight away, new Whiteboard, Copilot immediately pops up asking about suggestions. I first want to actually name our whiteboard though, give ourselves a basis to work with. Let's call this the customer support journey. Now we're going to use this as a collaborative space, but I want to seed some content in here so people have something to work with. When we go over to Copilot and hit suggest, it's going to ask for a prompt. Let's tell it to act as us. I'm the customer support manager at Contoso. Map out an ideal customer journey for Contoso, from a support mechanism specifically. And I want to go from the client's initial issue all the way through to final resolution. We can keep this pretty generic for now. We're in the initial brainstorming phase. We're just trying to get ideas of where we sit in the journey. What this is going to do is generate a number of different notes for us to leverage. And initially, it always comes in groups of 6. So we have our first 6 suggestions. Now, if we want more, all we simply have to do here is hit generate more. This will go through and try and create another 6. 6 at a time, you can continue to add more and more notes. If you don't like some, you can remove them from the environment and we can continue to just regenerate as we need to. And we're already on the page. We can start recolorizing. It's marked as Copilot creation, so we've got an idea of who's actually made these little notes here. But I want to go straight to categorization. This for me is the most important part of this process. Already, we have seen a full categorization of all of the various ideas that have been presented on a page. And critically, it's whatever is visible on the whiteboard. So if you have other ideas from different people and you want to have them in different orders, you want to include them in it and try and work out where they sit in a common plane, not a problem. Simply go through, hit that categorize button. You can regenerate the categorization a few times to see what it looks like. And then when you're happy, hit keep it. Now we have a clear pathway. Issue identification, resolution, interaction, and ticket management as the 4 components. Let's try and add a few more things here. Let's see what happens when we try and recategorize with new context. We're going to suggest some common pain points. Let's add them into the mix and make sure that we understand where they sit within the customer support journey as well. All right, we'll generate that. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. We'll just go with 6 for now. and we'll hit that insert button. All right, they're plonked straight over the top, not a problem. Categorize always takes into account everything on screen. So let's hit categorize one last time. Recategorizing now. And there it is. Things have changed. Support process, interaction, complaints, and follow-up. New context from new notes means new categories. I've also just asked for a summary. Get everything that's here and come up with something that I can work with, something that I can pass to someone else. This is actually contained over in Loop. If you haven't used Loop yet, it's a great place to be able to collaborate with others where you need to be able to write content and share. So it goes perfectly hand in hand with Whiteboard once you've got your initial drafting in play. From here, we're ready to go. We've got our first top points in, people can suggest their ideas, and then we can start collating it together and move on to our next step of working out the ideal customer support journey. All right, now for a change of pace. Let's head on over to Teams. Teams actually has a couple of different ways that we can interface with Microsoft 365 Copilot. We can either go through and we can utilize the individual chat. You get the last 30 days, usually, of the individual person's chat or a one-on-one or a group chat. Or we can actually use the general Microsoft 365 Copilot chat. That gives you access to calendar invites, Outlook, all of the other pieces of the puzzle that you're interested in. That's the one I'm interested in. So on the left-hand side, we'll select it and we'll head on over. From here, we're going to start asking some initial questions of Copilot. First important one, summarize my emails, meetings, chats. There's lots of different inbuilt ones we could go through instead, but I always like customizing it. And the main reason I do that is just so I can load it down to a single central topic. In this case, I want to know a little bit about Project Widget. Something that's sitting in the background here. We're working on our various plans for it. So let's see if we can get a bit of the detail about what people have been asking. All right, we've got some emails coming through. There's some activities. It all moved a bit fast. So let's scroll back up to the top. You'll see 3 emails, 2 chat messages, 4 meetings. This shows that we've reached out to the graph. We've pulled information from lots of different sources, and we're pulling them all together into one. The email summaries are nice there with quick things that I need to do. We've got some quick chat highlights as well across from a few different sources, so that's nice. And we've also got the meeting activity and the context of why those meetings were raised in the first place. Okay, I think there's a really important question out of all of this though. What do I actually need to do? Because that's really the main question, right? What are the action items that I need to take? I'm interested in those key decisions that already happened that mean I need to go do something. So let's just get a quick checklist. All right, 3 things that need to happen. I need insights for a financial call. Beautiful. Reinforce the project momentum. Not a problem. We can probably do that. And also just provide a little bit of an update. Easy peasy. Let's list them in order of importance. Now, I want you to note, I didn't say what was important to me. You need to always go through and state what is important, or else Copilot is going to prioritize some combination of urgency, strategic impact, and visibility. That can be a bit ambiguous. So if timeline is the most important thing, simply tell Copilot that that is what you need. There's one more piece I'm going to ask here. I know Riley's got a meeting with me today. So what action items involve Riley? Maybe we can sort them out in an hour's time. Okay, 2 things specifically. And in fact, one of them is just indirect. So really, it's just those insights for the financial call. I've managed to dial down what was a pretty messy inbox with messages all over the place into a single spot response. I got one thing to do, and I need to get that ready for my next meeting. Now, Teams isn't the only collaboration tool we have access to within Microsoft 365. Microsoft Loop is actually a great place to make teamwork easy because we can create, share, and work on content together in real time. When you combine that with Microsoft 365 Copilot, you essentially have an AI helper-assisted tool built for brainstorming and drafting with others. You can write text, make tables, generate code, answer questions, and it's a great place to just collaborate. So let's head on over and take a look at what Copilot and Loop can do, and let's start researching. So if you don't know where Loop is, head on over to your Apps tab. You'll see it on the left-hand side there. I'm going to open it up now, and we're going to create a new workspace for a troubleshooting guide. So hit New on the left-hand corner there. We'll call it Customer Service Troubleshooting Guide or Troubleshooting Guide, something like that. And then we'll go through and just set a couple of important things. First of all, little icon so we can easily find it later. Go a little think emoji. You can always set your sensitivity label, so if you need to control who can see it, it's either through that or sharing it, and we can even add content straight from here. I want to do it a bit more manually, show you the full process though. So what we're going to do, rather than using some of the pre-built templates down the bottom, is we're going to actually just go straight across to Copilot and go across to the Loop templates. On the left-hand side, you can see the templates that are currently in play. Project briefs, one-on-one meetings, marketing plans. There's a lot that are available for you. If you don't know quite which one to use, don't stress. Copilot can help you decide with only a few little pieces of information. First, name your page. Customer Service Troubleshooting Guide. That gives Copilot some guidance as to what we're doing. Next, make sure you set your prompt in Copilot as to what you need to get out of this. So we are creating a customer service troubleshooting checklist for resolving client login issues with the online portal that we have. So let's get that into play. Let Copilot generate the first steps of the report, and then we're going to take a look and see what comes out of the guide. So usually what happens with Copilot is that it'll emphasize speed of response to a certain extent. So I reckon we're going to probably need to add some more detail to these steps. Not as much as I thought. This is actually a pretty decent technical guide, even just as a starting point. There's definitely more detail that we can add here, don't get me wrong. But as a first cut point, even down to when we need to escalate and how we work with it, I think that's a pretty good initial starting. Okay, let's keep adding to the end of the prompt here. You can either add to the end of your current prompt when you're working with Loop, or you can remove the content and add a new prompt. Either works, it'll always take into context the content that you've already generated. Let's go through and add those pieces, and I use the words be specific. That's important because it ensures that Copilot will emphasize detail and accuracy above all else. So when we go through and we're adding in pieces, it's going to focus on that technical detail. So incorrect login credentials, there's already 2 steps there. That's great. We've got a bit more information on each piece. Now, I still feel that things are a little bit high level, so let's go through and ask one last time. Add more detail again. Break down the troubleshooting process for each one of these steps one step further. Iteration is key when it comes to Copilot, so try and try again. Get used to the different pieces of it. After time and with a bit of practice, you'll be able to get this first time. But when you're in the learning phase, and even when you're not, just keep iterating through and seeing if you can get closer to the thing you're looking for. All right, now most of this has actually worked exactly what I was expecting out of it. So let's go straight to the next step. Loop has a checklist component that allows for people to actually update and work with checklists dynamically, adding new content and being able to set permissions on different pieces of a document. Let's convert all of this across to Loop checklists to ensure, and we can see on the left, we've now got our little checklist buttons, that people are able to add content themselves, get new pieces into the puzzle, and make sure that it all works well. Now at this point, I've hit the Keep button. This means that we've now locked in the draft. We can easily change this if we need to, and we can do that by asking Copilot further questions. Also, this side panel of Copilot, this is a great place if you just want to ask generic questions of the document, like, is there anything else that you can think to add? Is there something else that you think is missing from the checklist here? We can use this as a way to just double check our work. And so you can always ask these general questions on the right-hand pane where you need it. So we'll let it just run through those questions. Let's take a look and see what it comes back with. Well, sometimes you get more than what you're looking for. There's certainly a lot of suggestions that Copilot has in play. You're under no obligation to take them all, but it is an effective way for you to be able to brainstorm and come up with some new ideas across all of the different sections. Some of these are actually some really nice technical steps that I would be looking for if I was building out a technical guide. So maybe there's something of use for you in there. If you do find something that's of use, you can easily copy it into your checklist and just simply use it from there. Copilot is meant for a way to just help you get this content out fast and find and iterate on your questions. So use it accordingly. Now, for our last little example, I actually want to take you somewhere totally different. We're going to head across to OneNote. OneNote primarily is going to be used in the desktop client version. So this works a little bit differently to what I've shown you so far. But it's important that I show you because it does do some really useful things. Now, I've already created a notebook, so we can simply jump straight in and start naming our page directly. So let's get ourselves started. I've got my page in place, and I'll just start by naming it. First of all, this is going to be where I have my customer service call summary templates. So we're generating a new template here for the customer service team to be able to work with a call that comes through. Copilot is able to integrate directly within OneNote, and we can use this as a way to just brainstorm new ideas, come up with new notes, be able to work within a customer support scenario, and if we need to just add new content, look for summarizations or ways of being able to generate pieces. But generating a template like this is not a thing that people talk about Copilot being able to do a lot, but it's extremely good at it. So first cut, we're just going to ask for Copilot to do a quick iteration. Create a call summary template for customer service reps to log those client concerns. And immediately, I've kind of got everything I need. It certainly can do with a polish, don't get me wrong. There's more that we can do here, but we've got the client name, we've got the contact, we've got the date of call, time of call. It's kind of all of the stuff that I would be looking for if I wanted to get something out onto a page and have a quick template in play. Now, we can easily go through and edit the prompt if we feel like something is missing. So I'm going to just suggest a few specific fields, and I want to see what Copilot comes back with. This is important because Copilot won't always return exactly what you're looking for. It's a predictive system. It's not really understanding what you're doing. It's just very good at knowing what you need. So let's take a look. I asked for some specific things like follow-up needed and when it was followed up and stuff like that. Do we have those in? Not exactly, but it did improve the follow-up steps. It added a little bit of a section there. So it has listened to what I said and it did attempt to feed it into the existing prompt. If I was ever unhappy, I can hit regenerate and it will go through and give it another go. But I think for now, let's keep it. We can always redraft the content by highlighting it and opening up Copilot on the side. It'll take in the content there and feed it in as a kind of first port of call. And I want to see if there's somewhere I could do drop-down menus. We're just drafting ourselves out at the moment, so think about this as a way of like almost prototyping a website design. So let's say, where could tags or drop-downs or categorizations be useful to be able to just make this a little bit easier to fill out for a customer service agent? Well, immediately, yeah, responsible person, that should have a checklist, resolution provided, reason for call. These all make perfect sense. It's even given me some recommendations about where a date picker or a text picker could be a really useful thing to put in play. Now, I think the layout definitely could use work. Said that early on, and I still think that's the case. Let's ask Copilot to have a crack at it. How do we think we can improve the layout to make it visually easy to scan and enable support reps to just quickly fill things out? They're going to be on live calls. We've got to make it simple. Okay, we'll get the first cut going through. Clear sections and headings, definitely. Making sure we put that in. Tables for structured data. These are more suggestions. But see down the bottom, it's given me an example layout I could simply just use. It's in a table format. It's 9/10 of the problem solved right there. Copilot in OneDrive is meant as a simple just back and forth collaboration while you're note-taking, while you're going through and designing or using it as a scratch space to build things out. Use OneDrive's native features around transcribing and around handwriting recognition to be able to pull content together. It's a really great way to be able to just interactively collaborate with not only Copilot, but others and have that one-stop shop to put everything together. All right, that's a wrap. We explored how Microsoft 365 Copilot can elevate your role in customer service, helping you respond faster, personalize interactions, and streamline support operations. From designing customer journeys in Whiteboard to drafting troubleshooting guides in Loop and summarizing those support calls, Copilot proved itself to be a powerful partner. You also learned how effective prompting unlocks its full potential. With these skills, you're ready to deliver consistent, high-quality service and drive customer satisfaction with confidence. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.